Hello there, and welcome to Reach for Power, where we take a closer look at power itself and the strategies to build it. We also analyze various roadblocks, self-limiting beliefs and behaviors that might be blocking your potential. I am your host, Monika Kruk, and in this episode, we will focus on micro-influence. In other words, the subtle art of shaping perception. When you hear the word influence, what comes to mind? Perhaps you picture a charismatic CEO commanding a room, a politician delivering a rousing speech, or a celebrity with millions of social media followers. But what if I told you that the most powerful form of influence isn't about grand gestures or loud voices? Instead, it's something much more subtle. Something that builds gradually, moment by moment, through small, strategic actions. This is the world of micro-influence. It's the ability to shape how people perceive you in everyday interactions, to quietly establish trust, and to build authority over time. It's not about being the loudest in the room, but about making a lasting impression through subtlety, consistency, and strategy. Let's explore how micro-influence works, the science behind it, and how you can harness it to become more influential presence in your career and beyond. In terms of psychology behind micro-influence, think about a colleague you see every day. Maybe they always greet you with a friendly nod or a quick good morning. Over time, even without a deep conversation, you start feeling positively towards them. That's the mere exposure effect in action, a psychological principle discovered by Robert Zions. The more we see something or someone, the more familiar and trustworthy they seem. Now imagine the same colleague consistently shows up prepared in meetings, contributes valuable insights, and follows up with helpful emails. Suddenly, you don't just see them as familiar, you start seeing them as competent, reliable, and someone worth paying attention to. This is known as the halo effect, where one positive trait influences our entire perception of a person. Another key psychological factor is Cialdini's principles of influence. In his research, Professor Robert Cialdini identified 6 powerful persuasion techniques, 3 of which are particularly relevant to micro-influence. First, there is reciprocity. The idea that when someone does something small and beneficial for us, we feel compelled to return the favor. A simple act like sharing a useful resource or offering unsolicited help can make others feel indebted to you in a positive way. Then there's consistency. People trust those who are reliable. When you repeatedly demonstrate competence in small ways, such as offering insightful comments in meetings or always following through on promises, you build a reputation of credibility. And finally, social proof. People look to others for cues on what to think and how to behave. If you subtly position yourself as someone whose opinion is sought after, others will start to follow suit. For example, if your colleagues consistently ask for your input, people begin to assume you are an expert. These psychological principles show that influence isn't always about being dominant or forceful. Often, it's the accumulation of small, consistent behaviors that shape how others see you. So, how to build micro-influence, you ask? One of the most powerful ways to build micro-influence is through the way you communicate. The words you choose and the way you deliver them shape people's perceptions of your intelligence, competence, and authority. For example, using affirmative language reinforces your credibility. Instead of saying, "I think this could work," try, "This is a strong approach because." Small changes like that can subtly increase how authoritative you sound. Likewise, mirroring keywords and phrases used by colleagues can increase rapport and make them feel understood, a phenomenon backed by psychological research on linguistic mirroring. Your nonverbal communication also plays a significant role. Maintaining steady eye contact signals confidence and attentiveness. An open, relaxed posture makes you seem approachable yet self-assured. Even the way you pace your speech matters. A slow, measured tone conveys thoughtfulness and control, while rushed speech can make you seem anxious or unprepared. Another effective strategy is making the most of micro moments, those small everyday interactions that might seem insignificant but actually shape long-term perception. In meetings, speaking early allows you to set the tone and establish presence. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment to contribute, aim to add value early on, even if it's just reinforcing a key point. Similarly, asking thoughtful follow-up questions positions you as engaged and analytical. Written communication is another area where micro-influence thrives. Well-structured emails with clear, concise messaging signal intelligence and efficiency. Reinforcing key phrases from leadership communication in reports subtly aligns you with their vision, strengthening your professional positioning. Even small things like consistently responding to messages in a timely and thoughtful manner builds credibility over time. Beyond communication, credibility is built through small wins. Studies on the progress principle show that small, consistent achievements create a lasting impression of competence. Volunteering for manageable but visible projects, delivering reliable insights, and gradually expanding your expertise all contribute to your professional reputation. Another powerful form of micro-influence is networking, but not in the way most people think. It's not about attending every event or aggressively pushing for connections. Instead, it's about frequent, low-effort touchpoints, sending a quick check-in message, forwarding an interesting article, or casually acknowledging someone's contributions. These small actions keep relationships warm and position you as a thoughtful, well-connected person. The final tool in your micro-influence arsenal? Questions. Research shows that asking questions makes you appear more competent and engaged. Open-ended questions invite deeper discussions, while probing questions show analytical thinking. Even rephrasing someone's statement as a question demonstrates active listening and strengthens relationships. In terms of stories of micro-influence in action, consider the case of a junior analyst at a consulting firm. She doesn't aggressively push for attention, but makes sure to add one well-researched insight in each meeting. Over time, her colleagues and managers start to notice, and she becomes someone whose input is sought after, without ever demanding for spotlight. Then there is the mid-level manager in a tech company who always shares valuable industry insights with his team. Over time, people start seeing him as a knowledgeable resource, someone always in the loop. Without formally being promoted to a leadership role, his influence grows simply because others begin to rely on him for guidance. And what about the quiet software engineer who rarely speaks up in meetings? Instead of forcing himself into conversation, he finds a different strategy, offering well-timed summaries at the end of discussions and following up with clear, actionable emails. Soon, his colleagues start recognizing him as a voice of clarity and wisdom. The most important takeaway from our today's discussion? Influence isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about showing up consistently, reinforcing credibility through small, thoughtful actions, and shaping how others perceive you over time. Micro-influence is something you can start building literally today. Every interaction, every email, every meeting, every casual chat is an opportunity to subtly reinforce your presence and expertise. By leveraging psychological principles, mastering micro moments, and adopting small but impactful behaviors, you can shape how people see you without ever forcing authority. Because in the end, true influence isn't about commanding attention. It's about earning it, one small action at a time. So now ask yourself, how will you start using micro-influence in your daily interactions? If you liked today's episode, please subscribe to have regular access to the newly published content and leave a like to support the channel's development. You are also welcome to check Reach for Power webpage at reachforpower.com for more materials and share your thoughts and comments with me through LinkedIn. Thank you for joining me today and keep on reaching for power.